You're standing in your garage right now. Maybe not literally, but you know the spot. That corner where the leaf blower lives, half buried under a tangle of extension cords and a bag of grass, seed you never opened. You bought it for one reason, so that every fall you could clear your driveway, your lawn, your front steps without spending 3 hours on your knees with a rake. Here's the thing nobody tells you when you're standing in the Home Depot aisle, staring at a wall of orange, green, and red plastic with numbers like 765 CFM and 200 miles per hour printed in bold. Those numbers are mostly theater. That's not an opinion. Consumer Reports. The people who actually collect and blow through thousands of pounds of leaves every year to test these things found that the impressive specs printed on the box don't always correlate with how well each model moves leaves and other debris. Two blowers can have nearly identical numbers on the packaging and perform completely differently in your actual yard. And the gap between what the box promises and what your hands experience on a Saturday morning. That gap is where a lot of brands have been quietly making their money for years. But specs are the small problem. Here's the part that should actually worry you. In November 2025, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission announced that nearly 50,000 popular backpack leaf blowers are being recalled after reports that the fan can break apart, posing a danger to users. We're talking about Stihl, one of the most trusted names in outdoor power equipment, the brand your neighbor swears by, the one with decades of reputation built on German engineering and orange and gray durability. The recalled units? Stihl BR 800 Magnum backpack blowers, sold for about $600 to $700. The fan wheel, the spinning part inches from your back, your spine, your kidneys while you're wearing the thing, could break apart during normal use. Picture it. You're strapped into this thing, the engine roaring against your shoulder blades, leaves flying everywhere. And somewhere inside that housing, a piece of metal is spinning fast enough to do real damage if it lets go. That's brand number 7 on our list. And honestly, it might not even be the most disturbing one. Because here's what we found when we kept digging. There's a pattern. Across multiple brands, across different price points, across different countries, the same story keeps repeating. A part fails, a recall gets issued quietly, and most owners never even hear about it. They just keep using the blower, sitting in their garage. Right now, over the next few minutes, we're going to walk through 7 brands, gas-powered, electric, all kinds, where documented recalls, fire hazards, and laceration risks tell a very different story than the glossy box art. Then we'll get to the 3 brands that Consumer Reports' own engineers actually rated as the best performers, the ones worth your money. But stick around for number 1, because the brand sitting at the very top of this list isn't some obscure off-brand nobody's heard of. It's one you've probably already got in your garage. Okay, let's start working down the list. Number 7, Champion Power Equipment. The 42 cubic centimeters backpack blower, sold across Canada at Canadian Tire between 2019 and 2021. The image Champion sells is rugged, dependable, made in the USA, power tool energy, the kind of brand that feels like it belongs in a truck bed next to a chainsaw. But here's the problem. In some units, the plastic engine cover could melt and, in rare cases, catch fire. Health Canada confirmed 4 reports of this exact issue. Think about that for a second. The cover sitting directly over a hot combustion engine, strapped to someone's back, starts to soften, then melt, then in rare cases ignite. Nearly 1,500 units sold. How many are still sitting in garages, never recalled in the buyer's mind? Because nobody connects that old blower with a thing on a recall list from years ago. Number 6, Radley. Sold through Home Hardware in Canada. Smaller player, electric model, green and black housing. Looks harmless, almost toy-like. But the affected blowers had a design flaw that could cause the impeller to rupture, creating a laceration hazard. At least 1 injury was confirmed. Picture the impeller, the spinning fan blade pulling air through the housing. Now, picture it cracking apart while you're holding the unit at waist height, blowing leaves off your front steps. That's not a hypothetical buried in an engineering report. That's a real laceration, reported to a government safety agency. Number 5, B-Air, Blue DRI, and Blue DRI Pro. Yes, 3 brand names, same company. These market themselves as professional grade, the kind of equipment you'd see at a construction site or a flood restoration crew. premium positioning, premium pricing. Some models priced near $300. The reality? Several models of centrifugal and axial blowers under these names were pulled in a recall serious enough that U.S. regulators stepped in. The daisy chain feature, where you plug multiple units together in series, sounds convenient, until you realize it's part of the exact configuration flagged in a recall. The packaging says professional. The recall notice says something else entirely. Number 4. DR Power Equipment. This one's worse, not because of one recall, but because of the second one. More than 60,000 of their leaf vacuums were recalled due to laceration hazards, units that originally sold for between $1,300 and $4,000. These aren't budget toys. People paid serious money for these. And here's the detail that should make your stomach drop a little. This recall came after the same company had already recalled around 57,000 leaf blowers and vacuums roughly a year earlier. Same company, same category of hazard, less than 2 years apart. That's not a one-time manufacturing slip. That's a pattern, a brand that built its reputation on heavy-duty, high-price equipment for serious yard work. And twice now, the chute design has needed an emergency metal shield bolted on after the fact. Imagine spending $4,000 on a machine for your property, only to get a letter in the mail telling you a piece is missing, a piece that was supposed to keep your hands and legs safe from a spinning blade the whole time. And we're only halfway through this list. The next 3 brands? They're the ones that actually surprised us the most. Number 3. Echo. Echo has spent decades building a reputation as the brand professional landscapers actually choose. Orange housing, dependable starts. Built for the pros isn't just a slogan for them. But in 2024, Echo recalled 2 gas-powered backpack blower models, the 59, 7 cubic centimeters PB, 5810H and PB, 5810T, over a fire hazard, on a backpack unit, strapped to someone's back, full of fuel, running for hours during peak leaf season. Picture it, a landscaper mid-shift, dry conditions, the engine running hot against his spine, and somewhere in that machine, a defect that could turn it into an ignition source. Real enough that the company issued specific serial ranges and pulled units from a field. The label says professional grade, trusted by landscapers. The recall notice says something the label never mentions. Number 2, steel. Again, but worse than you think. We already covered the BR 800 fan wheel recall from November 2025. Nearly 48,000 units, sold for $600 to $700. Here's what makes this different. Steel isn't a discount brand cutting corners. Steel is the premium name in this category. People pay more, sometimes hundreds more, because the name on the housing is supposed to mean something. German engineering, decades of trust. And yet, the fan wheel, the literal core spinning component doing the actual work of moving air, could break apart mid-use. On a $700 unit, from the brand everyone assumed was the safe, premium choice. If the most trusted, most expensive name in the category can have a core mechanical part fail like this, what does premium even mean anymore? Number 1, and this is the one that should genuinely bother you. It's not one specific brand. It's the entire axial and centrifugal air mover category sold under names like B-Air, Blue DRI, and similar daisy-chained units. Equipment marketed for flood restoration and water damage cleanup. The exact kind of equipment a homeowner might rent during one of the worst weeks of their life. A flooded basement, ruined carpet, panic, insurance adjusters calling. That's the equipment carrying a recall for a structural flaw serious enough that federal regulators got involved. Think about who's actually using these units. Not just landscapers on a routine Tuesday. People in crisis, desperate to dry out their home before mold sets in. Using equipment that, in some configurations, carried a hazard nobody disclosed at the counter. That's the real pattern. It's never just one bad product. It's an entire category where the gap between what this is marketed as and what regulators eventually had to step in about keeps repeating. Gas, electric, axial, centrifugal, cheap, expensive. Doesn't matter. But there's good news. While all of this was happening, a few brands were quietly doing it right, and the data backs it up. So here's where things turn around. Consumer Reports. Same engineers who run leaves and sawdust and rice through dozens of machines every season. Same people who do that ball rise test, shooting air through a vertical tube to measure raw lifting power with dimpled cage balls. Consistently point to 3 brands as the ones actually worth your money: Ego, Greenworks, and Ryobi. Notice something about that list. None of them are the loudest names in gas-powered, decades-old professional branding. None of them come with the mystique of European engineering or the trusted by landscaping crews since 1970 backstory. They're battery-powered, mostly. Practical. A little less romantic on a shelf. And that might be exactly the point. Battery leaf blowers have evolved over the past decade from a niche, good enough for light cleanup product, into something that genuinely competes with gas models. Often quieter, often just as powerful, and crucially, without a combustion engine sitting an inch from your spine that could overheat, meld a cover, or catch fire. There's something almost ironic about it. The brand spending the least on heritage marketing, the ones that don't lean on a logo that's been around since your grandfather's era, are the ones whose actual lab results, leaf clearing performance, and reliability scores hold up. Here's your quick test, something you can do this weekend with zero special equipment. Take your current blower out to the driveway. Run it for 2 full minutes, then turn it off and lay your hand flat, carefully near the engine housing or motor compartment, not touching anything moving. If it's gas-powered and that housing feels hot enough that you'd want gloves to touch it again in 5 minutes, that's the exact zone where Champion's plastic cover melted, where Echo's units caught fire. Heat buildup isn't an abstract spec. It's something you can feel with your own hand in your own driveway right now. Second test, check your serial number. Seriously, go look. Steel BR 800 owners, DR Power owners, Champion 42 cubic centimeters owners. These recalls are still active, still offering free repairs or replacements months and years later, and most owners never check. 5 minutes on a recall lookup site could be the difference between a normal Saturday and a serious injury. Here's the bigger truth, though. The story the box tells you: professional, heavy-duty, trusted by the pros, German engineering. And the story the recall documents tell you are often 2 completely different stories. Not because every premium brand is secretly defective, but because price and prestige were never a guarantee of safety. They never were. You just weren't given a reason to question it until now. Your garage, your driveway, your Saturday mornings. That machine sitting in the corner has a paper trail. Most people never read it. If you want to keep finding out what's actually behind the products sitting in your garage, your kitchen, your bathroom, the stuff you've trusted for years without a second look, subscribe. Because this is far from the last thing we've found.